Hey everybody, Brandon with Flyin Miata back for another FM Live. Today we're going to talk about your top latch and how to get it adjusted properly and some problems that you may want to keep an eye out for. Now, as always, you have questions, drop them in the comments. We'll try to get to them live. If not, we'll get to them after the fact. If you like this kind of thing, like, comment, subscribe, really helps us out, and definitely let us know if you have ideas for new videos that we should do. So, all of that having been said, so let's start with maintenance. Maintenance on your top latch. Kind of the short version is there isn't a whole lot. You pretty much don't need to futz with it unless there's a problem, but you need to pay attention to what a problem could be. Now you may, if you want to put a little bit of lubrication, a little bit of light grease in here, that's fine. It's not gonna be a problem. Don't ask me when the last time I did that on my top is. But you also want to kind of pay attention to any problems. That's the biggest thing. Is it loose? Is it rattly? Is there new wind noise that you didn't notice before? Are your carpets wet and that wasn't happening before? Or does your top latch kind of fall open and you're driving along and then all of a sudden it kind of falls like that? That's a problem. So those are the kind of things that you want to pay attention to, and that may mean that you have an issue that you need to address. So the two most common problems with the top latch is basically, is it locking in place, and this, what we call top lock cap here. So this is a little piece of plastic that goes over a metal nub that's basically just the same thing but smaller. You can kind of imagine in there. Lots of times these will break off and will be completely missing, partially missing. And when that happens, it does not fit into the receiver here, what we call the striker plate as well. So you can see that's a nice snug fit. There's no, it can pivot to make sure it lines up properly, but it can't really, you can't tell, but I'm trying to move it side to side and it doesn't. So if your little nub there is too small, it's just going to rock around in there. It's going to rattle. The top is going to be loose. That's going to be a problem. And that's, especially with the age of these cars, that's the most likely problem right there. Fortunately, we sell new ones. So there are two different versions. So pay attention. This 03 to 05, I think. Probably ought to double check that. But whatever our website says. This one Mazda actually discontinued. So we are now 3D printing this out of our carbon fiber infused nylon. And we've been selling this for 5 years now, probably, long time, with lots of good reviews. So, but you can see that they are different and they are not interchangeable. So be sure to choose the right one for your car. And that's all going to be unique to the top latch and the striker plate. So if you are playing around and you've got a late NB top on your early NA, no problem, but you either need to swap your latches and your striker plates, or your striker plates, basically. You need to keep all those parts together. So the other really common thing that will happen is that the locking piece on the back here will wear out, and it'll make it so that your latch just falls open. I mean, you can see I can just shake it open if I'm holding the lock down. So there are some DIY ways to solve that. There's nothing really wrong with those. You can find them on the internet if you'd like. But our solution are replacement locks. So these guys are machined out of aluminum as opposed to cast, kind of more likely to wear out. They're anodized. They also have a threaded hole in there. Maybe it's easier to see on the red part, I don't know. And that allows you to adjust. So maybe you have a groove in here and you can kind of see the beginnings of one here. It's really just taking the coating off, but maybe there's a groove there. So this won't work as is. There are a couple different screws we include that make it so that you can adjust that to keep this from falling open. So that's another really good thing. So in terms of adjustment, you can adjust the length here. That will dictate how tight it is on the top. Now the NC has a similar but more complicated version. of this, the ND has no adjustment on this. So for this, you just want to pop this plastic piece, and this plastic piece is just a lock to keep it from spinning. So pop that plastic piece off, and then you can adjust the length. You can adjust this guy to adjust the tension on it. You're just adjusting the distance here. So if your top is too loose, there's no tension when you pull this down, then you need to tighten it. If it's really, really tight and you can't get it all the way, then you need to loosen this. When you put a new top on, lots of times they can kind of stretch and seat into place. So you may need to adjust this a couple times as the top stretches and seats in fully. Now there is also where the top bolts in. Actually, you can kind of see the backside of it here, but where the top frame bolts into the chassis of the car, you can also do some adjusting there. That's not usually a thing that you're going to mess with normally. However, if you install a new top, that's absolutely something to pay attention to. Another part, if you need to go a little bit more in depth, the striker plate here is adjustable. These holes are slotted, so you can manipulate that a little bit. A good idea is to, particularly if you've had the frame off to do a new top, put it back on, loosen these guys up, close the top, pull it in so that your latch is pressed in here, and let this piece dictate the position of this piece. So this piece is loose. It's going to move around a little bit. This is going to dictate that position. Hold the top down, tighten it down, and now this is going to be in the right place to work. Now for hard tops, you have latches here as well. You can do the same kind of idea. The latches are very similar but different and not interchangeable, but they have the same idea here with the adjustment. I'll show you that again. So you can just adjust the length right there. And the same idea with the striker plates as well. Different striker plates, but same concept. You can loosen them up, make sure that they all arrange properly like that. One other thing that's not a top latch, but is quite important, is important for noise, wind, water intrusion, all of that, is your soft top seals. So these pieces right here, they can become misadjusted. Maybe you put a new top on and you didn't tweak anything there. There are a bunch of different ways that these can be adjusted. They can be affected by the top latch adjustment. They can be affected by the adjustment of the channel that they go into right there. You can move this around. You can also move the window. How far up does it go? How far back? What the angle is. There's a lot of stuff in there. So if you look up our listing for these soft top latch seals, we sell the IL Motorsports seals, which by the way are a quarter of the cost of the Mazda seals and still work very, very well. We've got a really thorough instruction set there. So if you've got weird things going on with the noise, the alignment, whatever, check out those instructions. Lots of really thorough hints on exactly how, more than hints, just instructions, on how to get everything lined up properly and get rid of as much noise as possible. Miatas are not quiet cars, but we can try to make them as quiet as possible. Yeah, so another thing that's kind of related, at least, for the hard tops, the Frankenstein bolt here, you can adjust, the hardtop has kind of a chrome piece that comes over here and just catches this to hold the back of the hardtop down. There are a number of adjustments in there that you can make as well. Maybe not a number, but you can at least adjust the fore-aft a little bit to get that all dialed in. So hopefully that gives you some more information on what to look for and how to fix your different problems. So do we have any questions? We have questions. Yes.
Is there an adjustment to the window that needs to be made to help with the seal alignment?
Absolutely. So is there an adjustment to the window that needs to be made to help with the seal alignment? Absolutely. And that's what I was talking about with the with these seals and the instructions. I'm not going to go through that right now. The short version is you got to take the door panel off, and there are a number of adjustments that you can make in there to it. That is spelled out in the instructions for the soft top seals on our website. But short version, absolutely. And there are more adjustments in there than you think there will be. So yeah, read through that entire set, and hopefully that'll help you out. You can also, to help with the seal here, you can use a silicone grease, or maybe sometimes people will kind of fake it with the dielectric grease to kind of rejuvenate the rubber seals. So that's another way you can do it. So I have a couple of questions here ahead of time. Now we will put the instructions, or a link to the instructions, link to those soft top seals in the comments so you can get to it easily that way, as well as the top lock caps and the latch locks. Okay, so these questions are a little redundant now, but we'll go through them real quick. I've adjusted my latches all the way in, but the top still leaks around the windows. So if you have tightened this fully and it's still loose, you may very well be missing this piece. Because if you're missing the top lock cap, again, that whole thing is smaller, so the latch is going to have to go in farther into that striker plate. So you may not have enough adjustment in this to make it tight enough. So that's the first thing I would look at. So bear in mind that when it's installed, you're only looking at it from this side. So if you can't see that there's a clear plastic cover on that, there's a seam right there. If you can't see any of this stuff and it just looks like a nub, and it looks like there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a metal nub, there is something wrong with it. You're missing this piece. If there's any question at all, pop them off and see if you have, because usually the screw will still be there, kind of this much of the plastic will be here, and that whole thing will be missing. So it's basically, short version, if you don't know what you're looking at, it's actually really easy to not identify this as a problem. So that is the most likely thing. If you've got this tension all the way tight, it could be an issue with the window seals. It could be an issue with the top being moved too far forward. So there are other possibilities, but my number one thing to check is going to be the top lock cap. Does this apply to hardtops too? Yeah, it does. These are identical right here between the soft tops and the hardtops. Hardtops also have a latch here. Hardtops also have the Frankenstein bolt here. So I went through all that. If you have missed that in the live video, wait till we're done or rewind and you can watch it at that point. My latches are fully adjusted, but it still feels loose. So that's a little vague. It could mean a bunch of different things, but I'm going to go to the top lock cap again, partially because of the likelihood and also because of the description. You know, if loose means I feel like there's no tension when I do this, then it's probably because you can't, it's basically too short. So anyway, I've said that over and over again. Okay. All right. Well, that is it. Thank you for stopping by. Again, links to all this stuff in the comments below. If you have questions after the fact, drop them in there. We will get to them. If you have suggestions for new videos, let us know. We're always looking for stuff. And we will be back next Thursday with another FM Live. Thanks, everybody.